Good evening. That is. 8 days ago, the controversy sweeping through county government came to a head. When we gathered as a council last Monday night, we knew our challenges could not be greater. Plagued by scandal, infected with pay-to-play politics, and reeling from mismanagement, our county needed a powerful dose of good government. And that's what we've been giving it. I made it clear to our staff that we'll be doing the right things for the right reasons, and there will be zero tolerance for pay-to-play politics. We have made that clear to our county employees as well. Last week, I sent every county employee an email asking them to blow the whistle on any corruption they see. Some have already stepped forward. Whistleblowers will be valued in this administration. But we know the overwhelming number of our county employees were not the problem. In fact, many of them felt caught in the middle of controversies that made their jobs more difficult. And remember, this was happening at a time when most of them had not seen a real pay raise in years. Our employees must be a top priority, and I've been reaching out to them each day to let them know that they are valued and their wisdom will no longer be ignored, and they will no longer be asked to compromise their ethics just so their boss could receive campaign contributions. One of the most glaring examples of the previous administration ignoring our employees' wisdom was when the Northwest Plaza leases were negotiated. The Council's Ethics Committee has pointed out many ways on which those leases were negotiated in an unorthodox and overtly political way, bypassing the employees who would ordinarily negotiate leases in county government. This was not right when it was done, and it's not right today. On Friday,
can we ask whoever has that device that's beeping, please turn it off?
Thank you.
It'll interfere with the recording.
It sounds like it's back there.
The smoke detector? Well, I apologize for that, ma'am.
we will.
Thank you, Jen. That was bothering me.
So we'll get to the batteries in the smoke detector. Thank you. So on Friday, I sent a letter to Bob and David Glarner, formally asking them to join with us in renegotiating those leases so that terms are reasonable and fair to the taxpayers. Earlier today, I received a letter from Bob and David. They have agreed to come back to the table, calling their relationship with the county a vital partnership. In light of the St. Louis County's criminal victimization in the hands of my predecessor, I have asked the County Council to pass a resolution asking Missouri State Auditor Nicole Galloway to conduct a risk assessment audit of county government, beginning with our entire contracting process, including those made through the St. Louis Economic Development Partnership. I spoke to Ms. Galloway several weeks ago, and I spoke to her Chief of Staff a few days ago, and her team is ready and willing to begin their work immediately. While we work to clean up government, we also cannot forget that some of our most glaring challenges are faced in departments across county government. In the last week, I was briefed by Colonel Troy Doyle, the new Director of Justice Service of the Justice Center, and he gave me an update on the investigations of the recent deaths in our county jail. Yesterday, my staff and I toured the jail with Lieutenant Doyle, and we saw where those deaths occurred. I also requested that the reaccreditation process be expedited to allow for a more timely audit of the process, policies, and procedures at the Justice Center. And I asked to be briefed on the results of that audit as soon as possible. Real people have died because of things that happened at the Justice Center. No one should lose their life in our custody. We cannot lose sight of that when we talk about the change that is needed. And so this week I began meeting with the families of the 3 men who recently died at the Justice Center. And tonight I want to take the opportunity to offer a deep and heartfelt apology to the families and friends of Jay Rivas, John Shy, and Lamar Catchings. We take responsibility for what happened, and we commit ourselves to preventing such tragedies in the future. And I am sorry. I would also like to give you an update on economic development issues. First, the Port Authority. It is the position of this administration that the ordinance the council passed to change the way the Port Authority is appointed is valid. It should be upheld by the court. As a result, the county councilor filed a request on Thursday that will allow us to file our administration's legal position with the court, and we will be doing that soon. Last week, I also sat down with Rodney Krim for a briefing on the St. Louis Economic Partnership. In the short term, we will work with Mr. Krim to implement safeguards that ensure that the partnership is not abused by politicians. I plan to make additional announcements concerning the partnership shortly. I discussed the partnership last week with St. Louis Mayor Lyda Krewson. Mayor Krewson shares our belief that the partnership is too important to walk away from. Prior to the Stinger administration, it functioned well, and we will do what it takes to make sure that it succeeds again. I am committed to build a strong relationship with Mayor Krewson and find areas where the county and St. Louis City can collaborate, whether it's economic development, public safety, or public health. That's part of working together as a regional team. And sometimes, as in the case on Monday, that means supporting Better Together's decision to withdraw its petition for a statewide vote on merging the county and the city. As I have said before, I will not put the future of this county in the hands of voters throughout the state with no stake in where we go next. It should be up to the voters of St. Louis County and St. Louis City, and those voters alone, as to whether a merger makes sense for both of us. That's the teamwork that makes sense. Speaking of teamwork, I was heartened to see so many members of the council on the 9th floor this last week. I want you to know that not only are you welcome, that you're invited. You're invited to the 9th floor to build new relationships and cultivate old ones. If it's not clear yet, it should be clear now. I want to work with you all as a team. I invite each of you to work with my office to schedule town hall meetings in your districts. I want to meet your constituents where they are, hear their voices, and learn their challenges. I would like to do that arm in arm with you. I will also be reaching out to business leaders, community organizers, members of the clergies, and others throughout St. Louis to sit down with them, and I'd like you to join me in those efforts as well. We need to reorient the community relationships that community leaders have with our county government. In the past year, the message from the county executive has been, what can you do for me? We now will be asking our community, what can we do for you? We want and need ideas of how we can best help the business grow, to help a nonprofit accomplish its mission, to help a church serve areas of need. As I said, we have been very busy over the last week, but we're just getting started. My administration is committed to transparency and openness in government, and we will not tolerate pay-for-play politics. We are confident that by focusing all of our efforts serving the public, we can right the ship of county government.